The US doing damage control after its most serious intelligence leak in years. Dozens of documents detailing classified information have been making the rounds on social media in recent weeks. Some of the latest revelations share details about Russia's war. One document dated the 1st of March alleges that 97 Western Special Forces operators were on the ground in Ukraine. They reportedly came from the US, Britain, France, Latvia and the Netherlands. This would suggest that NATO soldiers have been directly involved in the conflict, and that would contradict the alliance's claims that it is not waging a war against Moscow. But there are some concerns that some of the documents may have been manipulated. The most prominent example of this is a photograph showing estimates for Russian and Ukrainian casualties. There are reportedly two different versions of this list. One copy states the number of Russian soldiers killed as falling between 16,000 and 17,500. Another version puts the number at around 35,000 to 43,500. American media have been trying to pin down where this trove of leaked documents came from. The Washington Post claims to have found the source. It says the leaker is a gun enthusiast in his 20s who worked on a U.S. military base. The person shared this classified information to a group on Discord. That's an instant messaging platform that's popular with gamers. Discord says it is cooperating with law enforcement. U.S. national security agencies and the Justice Department are investigating the leak, but they have yet to comment on who the culprit might be. And for more, Nick Harper joins us live from Washington, D.C. Nick, how significant are these leaks? And now that at least the Washington Post says it has found who is behind the leak, can we expect any more information to emerge?
Well, it seems very significant, and part of the problem with all of this is that it's remaining in the news every single day because new revelations seem to be coming out almost daily. We heard about the problems of the US eavesdropping on various allies like South Korea. We heard about the possibility of Egypt trying to sell missiles to Russia. But some of these latest revelations certainly cause problems. The latest in the last 24 hours that the US was spying on the UN chief, that they felt that he was being too friendly towards Russia. And very problematic, this suggestion that special forces troops, including ones from the United States, have been acting inside Ukraine. As you mentioned, that goes against that NATO promise that there would be no boots on the ground, something that the US has been very clear about throughout, that it would be standing ready outside of Ukraine's borders, ready to help, but not actually physically within the confines of the country. This seems to go against this. And we don't really know whether there'll be more revelations or not, but they have been coming thick and fast. And from a security and analyst point of view, it has been suggested this has been the most significant leak in about a decade since Edward Snowden leaked a whole trove of classified documents onto WikiLeaks. And because of that, there is a real fear that this is causing reputational damage to the United States, that it's undermining its position with allies and partners around the world. One thing to note, though, you mentioned it, there is this suggestion that some of the information has been manipulated. We heard from Ukraine's defense chief saying there was a combination of true material, but also false material. And he very much tried to downplay the impact that the leaks have had on Ukraine itself, because it had been suggested that they had changed battle plans as a result of the leak. So there is this fear that we could see more information over the coming days, which could cause more problems for the United States.
Oh, Nick, you mentioned the problem specifically of reputational damage. I suppose we're thinking of the information concerning the US spying, perhaps on South Korea and Israel, and it has had to reach out to reassure these allies. What else has the Biden administration done to, I suppose, reassure friends, allies, partners in the world?
Well, we're told that the US government has been reaching out at the highest level to offer those reassurances to various countries around the world. But they've also launched investigations. We have a Department of Defense, Pentagon investigation looking into this. There's also a Department of Justice criminal investigation that's been launched, really trying to identify who was behind all of this. But the Washington Post overnight here, US time, says that they know who was behind this. They say that it was a person in their 20s, a gun enthusiast, someone that is a racist. They say that they've interviewed someone that was in an internet chat forum with this person, that person identifying themselves as OG. And the Washington Post say that they've seen a video of the suspected leaker firing a weapon, shouting out racist slurs. Now, the problem with this is that over the last week, there has been this suggestion from the US side that this was another country, an outside actor trying to do damage to the United States. It now seems, according to the Washington Post, that this is someone who had security clearance, who was allowed to access these classified documents and then leaked them. So the attention now turns to the Pentagon and how it polices its policy of giving clearance to the 1.25 million people who have the highest level of security clearance, employees and contractors. And I think that will now become the focus, because if it is someone who worked for the US government, who had that clearance, there will be questions about what the US needs to do to tighten that policy and stop this type of thing from ever happening again.
All right, thanks for that. Nick Harper speaking to us from Washington, D.C.